We got set for our new video here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Fantasy football in focus coming to you every single week. Last week, we were out of town, so that was the only reason why we were off that week. But covering the ACC for tip-off, fantasy football in focus here for you. NFL Week 9 of the 2023-24 season. Bye week this week, the Broncos, the Lions, the Niners, and the Jaguars. So, if you have any one of these teams on your roster for this week, make sure you move them off so that you don't have bye week players getting you 0 points. So make sure you pay attention to the bye weeks. Broncos, Lions, Niners, and Jaguars are off this week. NFL Week 9 of the 2023-24 season. Right next to me here on your screen. And for those of you listening on Podbean, I will be describing all this to you as well, so you don't miss a moment of anything. So thank you to everybody who has joined me here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. And this segment, Fantasy Football in Focus, proudly presented by the fantastic team at the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. It is open 7 days a week for your dining pleasure. And, of course, you can also go out there for takeout and delivery by calling 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat. Make sure you give them a phone call today for takeout and delivery, as well as going out and seeing them and having some lunch, having some dinner, having some drinks. As always, drink responsibly. You can watch the World Series there. You can watch the NFL, college football, and so much more at the Wildcat Sports Pub. Big time shout out to Danny Tome and his incredible team at the Wildcat for all the work that they do every single day. We appreciate you so very much. And for those of you that are first here on Fantasy, on our broadcast, maybe you've never been here before, or maybe you just need to be reminded. You're with us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So, when I give you those avenues because I want to let you know if you're on any one of those, you can write into me. If you have a question about your specific fantasy team, you can send it off to me today, be it the waiver wire, free agency, a trade, as well as who to start, who to sit, what's going on with your team. You feel like you've been doing okay, you've been winning, but there's areas that you want to work on, there's things you want to improve, you want to be prepared, or your team's not doing well, and you need some help to get on the right side of things. Well, I am here to help you today. If you have a question about your fantasy football team, all you have to do is go ahead and write it in to me. Write it in right here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora to any one of these outlets. youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. If you have a question, we will work to give you the best answer that I can come up with. It's not foolproof. I'm not going to be 100% right 100% of the time. However, I do believe that we can help you move forward. I've been playing fantasy football since I was 12 years old, and I've been a commissioner for many, many years, over a decade in our Florida League, as well as in our leagues here in Central and Upstate New York, over a decade in all of those. So I would love to help you with your fantasy football roster, with your team. So if there's something you got going on, make sure you send it off to us. Be happy to help you. So make sure you ask those questions as we go. And, of course, you could find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So make sure you find us on any one of these outlets. Ask us your questions, and also connect with all of our shows that we do on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So never a dull moment, plenty of great things to connect with, and always appreciate hearing from you all. So make sure you join us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on any one of these podcasting platforms, as well as on YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So make sure that you do that here today. And like I said, always happy to help you, always happy to be here with you and for you, and we appreciate you so very much. So thank you for all that you do to be a part of the show. I really do appreciate it. So with that being said, it's time for us to jump in to the NFL for Week 9, and we'll talk about some things as we go, because there's been some movement here There's been some trading going on before the trade deadline, which was yesterday. And, of course, there have been some coaching changes. So we'll talk about all of that. If you have a question, feel free to send it in to me, and be more than happy to answer those questions as we go. And don't be worried. If you have a question about a game that we already covered, that's okay. You can go and ask me that question. I'm happy to answer it for you. So if you got a question, go ahead and send it in to us so I make sure that we don't miss anything. We're going to start with Tennessee at Pittsburgh. That's Thursday Night Football. We're going to go from the top down. So as always, if you're wondering what game we're on, all you have to do is listen to what game I'm talking about, see where it is from top to bottom, and you'll know exactly what games we passed and what games are coming up here on the broadcast so that you can know exactly where you need to go for some advice. So Tennessee at Pittsburgh is going to start things off here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Tennessee with Will Levis, got to give him some credit here. Will Levis, I did not have him going in the first round of my mock draft, not because I was wishing bad on the guy. I never do on anybody. And I just wasn't buying into the hype like some other people were of him going into the NFL. I wasn't in that world of thinking like, yeah, this guy is a first-round guy. I thought Hendon Hooker, by the numbers in the same conference and having a better record and performance within the conference, I thought Hendon Hooker was the better bet. He goes as the backup to the Detroit Lions. And so you look at Hendon Hooker and where he is, and obviously working for some time. On the other side of it, we look at Will Levis and what he did, and like I said, give credit where credit is due. This man came out balling, and Will Levis having an awesome moment here in the NFL to start things off. They're playing up against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has been not great at home by any stretch of the imagination. So if you got somebody off this week, maybe you have Trevor Lawrence, maybe you have Brock Purdy, and you're looking for somebody, you could go out and get, I don't imagine after this past week, but, maybe a week before you could have done this, but going out and getting somebody like Will Levis, not a bad bet for you if you can find a way to do it. I think he's got a good matchup this week, a favorable matchup this week. He's coming off of a 19 for 29 performance in his debut in the NFL, 19 for 29, 238 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. So Will Levis coming out and striking here in this matchup against the 49ers defense. Against the, not the 49ers defense, pardon me on that one. I'm thinking about a different game. Up against the Atlanta Falcons. So, you got to kind of take everything here and look at it as it is, right? Because he played up against the Atlanta Falcons, who don't really have a defense. And so we'll see how he competes now on the road in a tough atmosphere as he has to play at Pittsburgh. So we'll see how he does here. But like I said, with some teams off this week, there's, worse places for you to be in than having Will Levis at this point. So, this could really help you out to put him out there up against Pittsburgh, just because I'm not a big fan of really anything Pittsburgh's doing right now. Their team hasn't been great it hasn't been great in special teams, offense or defense. I not sold on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So this could be a good opportunity for you to put Will Levis out there. I have him as a mid-range quarterback 1 for this week, especially with the matchup. Derrick Henry is limited right now with an ankle injury. Tajay Spears might get some more time here, so we can see what's going on with him. Everybody else is injured, Hassan Haskins and Julius Chestnut. Just watch the Tajay Spears. He's a good flex out as a running back 3 or 4 for you this week. D-Hop is getting some more pub with Will Levis out there. However, he has a toe injury. D-Hop has gone through stuff before. Just make sure you monitor this and make sure that I shouldn't say he's gone through. He's had more recent stuff, but it hasn't been as consistent. So just watch what's going on with him. Treylon Burks, though, this could be a good week for you to sneak in some Treylon Burks as a deep flex. I got him as like a wide receiver 4 this week. Nick Westbrook, he had a touchdown in the game, and D-Hop had 3 of the 4 touchdowns thrown by Levis. So we'll see if D-Hop plays and if they key in on him. I'm not really sold by any of the guys in the wide receiver core unless D-Hop's good to go. If he is, I have him as a wide receiver, a low end. I probably have him a wide receiver 2 because, we'll look to see if he's going to be double teamed since Will Levis went to him so much. Kenny Pickett has a rib injury, so he's limited. God willing, he'll be okay and be able to start. If not, we'll see more Mitch Trubisky, which means I think we'll see more for Najee Harris, maybe Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren I got as a lower end flex. Najee Harris I have as a running back 2, and that's really it on that for this matchup that we have in the NFL this week between the Titans and the Steelers on Thursday Night Football. Starting off Sunday, day football, here's a great matchup. Miami at Kansas City. Why? Because Miami is 6-2 and Kansas City 6-2. Jacksonville is off. But one of these teams, unless they tie, one of these teams will have 3 losses, which means the Jaguars can actually move up the standings despite the fact that they'll be off this week, finally getting a bye week and playing a really tough schedule. The Jaguars had to play 2 games on the road in London. Then they had to come home and immediately play the following week. And it's kind of like it's almost like looking at their situation saying, jet lag be damned, and making them play. And now looking at this as they move forward, the Jacksonville Jaguars finally get a week off. They had to play immediately when they came home after 2 games in London. Then they had to play on a Thursday night after that, and now they get a break. But they could move up in the standings depending on who wins this game between Kansas City and Miami. Miami's on the road, so we'll go to them first. Tua is worth the play for this, in my opinion. Raheem Mostert, I would say, is a low-end 2, high-end 3, probably a high-end 3 running back. Tyreek Hill's worth the play. Jalen Waddle is worth the play as well. And then on the other side for Kansas City, you got to play Patty Mahomes, got to play Kelsey. Isaiah Pacheco, I have him as a lower-end running back 2. He's had some good moments. He's done some things, but I don't see him as a dominant running back. I don't see him as a 1 for sure. And as a 2, I guess, he had 8 carries for 40 yards, 5 yards a carry, and he had 3 catches for -3 yards. So, I mean, if you're in PPR, you still got points for his catches, despite the fact that they went backwards. But I got Pacheco as a running back 2, high-end running back 3, especially because of the matchup. I don't trust in Sky Moore right now. I don't trust in Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I don't trust in any of the receivers. So I'd say Mahomes, Kelsey, and then give some love to Isaiah Pacheco. On the other side, Tua, Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, and give some love to Raheem Mostert. I think there's more fantasy value with Miami, and I think Kansas City's getting exposed a bit here. Defenses have held them under 20 or close to 20. Their offense hasn't been great this season. I think people get caught deer in headlights when they hear the words Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce, but this Kansas City team hasn't been great on offense, and there was threatening that they were going to lose. That threat continued, and eventually they ended up losing a game here. So, am I sold on Kansas City being a dominant force? No. Do I count them out of any game? No. Not at this point. But looking at the way that they've been playing, I'm not wowed by their offensive play. It's been enough to get by, but it hasn't been great. And that could come back and bite them in the butt when they start playing better teams out there in the NFL. So that's just something to look at, something to pay attention to, and something to really key in on instead of just following the narrative of they're supposed to be good. Yeah, they are supposed to be good, but their offense has not been good lately. It's been okay, and okay is not going to be enough when they run into the right teams. And you look at Denver. I mean, a few weeks ago, Denver held the game close. Again, another team that had held the Chiefs lower, right? And in holding the Chiefs the way that the Broncos did, when you look back on that, they held them under 20, 19-8, and they had a chance toward the end of the game to win the game. So when the Broncos they've seen them 2 times in 3 weeks, look at that, because this could be a little telltale heart thing. The Chiefs saw the Broncos, almost lost to them. And that was in Kansas City. Then Denver goes home, they face off again, they got another crack at them, and look at what they did. So just something to look at and really pay attention to is how this team has not been performing the greatest when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs and the Miami Dolphins. They've proven they can put up 70 on certain teams out there. So you can't ever, in my opinion, count the Dolphins out when they have Tua. You know, I said it last year, if they had Tua all the way through, there was a really good chance they were going to be an undefeated team later on in the season. And they very well could have gotten the first or second seed in the AFC, in my opinion. Going to Minnesota at Atlanta. Minnesota's got Jaren Hall, their rookie, is going to play here. Josh Dobbs comes over. This is a weird move made by Arizona. Arizona might be cleaning house again. And that's crazy to say, but yet it's a reality that we may see Arizona clean their house. They had a quarterback they drafted high and a coach that they brought in, and then they got rid of that coach or that quarterback less than 365 days into them being on the team. Now you look at where they are currently, and they could be doing something like this again. Are they going to keep their head coach, number one? And number two, are they going to keep their quarterback? Are they going to keep Kyler Murray? Are they letting him sit out and kind of just let this ride out in the sense of the fact that they don't really see themselves winning? Josh Dobbs has had to be the guy, and now you let Josh go. So I think that says something about Arizona, is he's been serviceable. They don't have a great record, but at least he's done some things. And now you trade Josh Dobbs to Minnesota. What does that say, right? Minnesota's still got a shot at the playoffs. So Jaren Hall is going to be starting this week. I wouldn't put him out there. Alexander Mattison and Cam Akers are going up against the Atlanta lack of a defense. So, you know, I would say I'm not sold on either one of these guys, but if you have to flex somebody out or you got somebody off this week, Cam Akers scored this past week. He only had 19 yards, but he scored on the ground. Madison had 31 yards on the ground. Madison had a catch in the game, and Akers had a catch as well. So, I mean, I would say, and this is the tough part of having Kirk Cousins out, is we've seen Jordan Addison get more involved with Justin Jefferson's out as well. So, I mean, Minnesota's got Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins out, and I still think they're better than certain teams out there. So I would say in this one to look at the ground game, and because they're playing Atlanta's lack of a defense, like I said. So I think Madison and Cam Akers, you could flex them out in deep leagues. You could put them at either one as a running back 2. I'd probably put him as a running back 3 safely. Jordan Addison, every quarterback has their guy. We'll see if Jaren Hall can get the ball out to Jordan Addison. But I have him as a flex wide receiver 3 this week because of the question mark there. And TJ Hawkinson, you know, normally when a quarterback comes in that was a backup, they go to running the ball and go to the tight end. Those are their 2 escapes. And so TJ Hawkinson, I still have him as a tight end 1, especially with the defense he's playing. On the other side of it, Desmond Ridder, like I said, big fan of Desmond Ridder. Not sold on Atlanta right now, though. I'm not going to tell you to play him in fantasy. Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. Looking at how these guys have kind of broken it up over the season, I thought that, you know, obviously Bijan coming in was going to affect Tyler Algier. But when you look at it by the numbers overall as to how much things have been affected, when you take a look at Atlanta's numbers, the Atlanta Falcons in the backfield this season, Bijan Robinson has 466 yards on 92 carries. Algier has had 12 more carries, 104, and he has 332 yards, doing less with those. Bijan has 1 rushing touchdown. Algier has 2. Algier has no touchdowns receiving, where Bijan has 2 touchdowns receiving. So you got Bijan with 2 receiving, 1 rushing, and you got Tyler Algier with 2 rushing. It's still hard to say, and this is the unfortunate part, is when it comes to the Atlanta Falcons, it's not an easy thing to go, yeah, definitely play that guy. Or no, play that other guy, right? That's not how this is. Bijan had 11 carries. Tyler had 8 most recently. Bijan had a touchdown on the ground, and Tyler Algier did not. Algier did not catch a pass in the game. Bijan didn't catch a pass either. So you got 11 carries for 62 yards for Bijan. and you have Algier 8 carries for 31 yards, and now they're going up against Minnesota's defense. So I would say Bijan's a lower end 2, Tyler's a high end 3 at running back. Drake London's questionable with a groin injury. Groin and hamstring are 2 things that you never want to hear, especially at the wide receiver and running back position. But that's where it's at. God willing, he'll be okay. Van Jefferson was brought in to give them some depth from the Rams. So look for Van Jefferson to have some moments here against Minnesota. I have him as a wide receiver 3, probably low end 3, high end 4. Kyle Pitts, I have him as a tight end 2 because of just still not getting a lot out there. Jonnu Smith, I wouldn't put out there either. So it's not great in the fantasy world for the Atlanta Falcons. They are scoring. They are doing some things, but with Drake London injured, Kyle Pitts not being used as much, and Bijan and Tyler Algier kind of still being question marks at this point, it's hard to say, yeah, definitely play those guys. So I do have them as running back. Bijan is a low-end 2, and Tyler is a high-end 3, which basically says I hope you have 1 or 2 guys above them, but it's not the worst thing in the world to have to play them. Arizona at Cleveland is the next one that we're going to go to. If you have a question, go ahead and shoot it in. Happy to answer your questions here. Oh, we got some things coming in here. The Jags chose to not have a bye. DT, what does it say? They could have had a bye after London games. The real question is Taylor Swift traveling out to Germany? That's funny. Dobbs will continue to be a fantasy-relevant quarterback with the Vikings. I agree. Probably because there's a chance Ritter isn't playing at all. So, yeah, he isn't playing well. And, I mean, yeah, Jacksonville, listen, if it be the case that the Jaguars chose not to have a bye, then, that's, we'll see. If that's something and that's what they wanted. I mean, usually teams are offered bye weeks after international games, but sometimes choose different weeks based off of timing. So, yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is they had a really tough schedule. They haven't had an easy road. You're away from home. You give up a home game. You give up an away game. And then, and yeah, if you choose to not have the bye week and say, okay, I'm not going to do that, then you can't blame the NFL for it. But at the same time, it's a tough road. It's a tough road to hoe. Now, they did well on this road. They did very well on this road, which helps to, make everything feel better because of the way that they performed. But now that they're home and they have an opportunity to get better and refresh and refuel and recharge, this is a beautiful moment. They couldn't come at a better time because of how they played the last 5 weeks. So, looking at the bye week situation for them in week 9, it's in the middle of the season. So, I mean, playing the way that they've played, you can't knock them for it. And for the fact of if they indeed chose, I'm not finding anything concrete on the bye week here for the Jaguars. I'm taking a look at it right now. And if so, yeah, I mean, I'm not really seeing. Since when do teams not get a bye week after playing? So I guess this is here. Falcons played the Jaguars in London last week, and this week they play at home against the Texans. Since when is this a thing? Bye weeks after international games were never a mandatory thing. After they're over, generally teams only choose that option toward the end of the season since later buys are considered preferable. So, okay. So, allegedly, they can choose to take a break. And based on, I mean, I'm not seeing anything from the NFL's literature. I'm seeing this from some message boards. But if they can indeed say no to their bye week after being overseas, then you can't blame the NFL for that at all. What I can say to the NFL is the fact that, they, no matter what, they had 2 overseas games, and then they had the Sunday and the Thursday. And so, I mean, what I'm saying is Jaguars haven't had an easy schedule. They haven't. And they've had to respond. They had to bounce back. They had to regroup, reset, refuel, recharge, everything in London. I wrote a story about it. I talked to the guys about it in the locker room, and they did exactly that. They did what they needed to do. They did what they had to do in order to put themselves in a good situation. At 1-2, they're telling people the season's not over, right? Because some people are already saying, "Oh, the Jaguars are out, season's over," and the guys were like, "The season's not over. We got time. We just got to go over there." And they said, when we're in London, we're together, right? He said they said the whole team's together. We're together there. We don't have anything like some of the distractions we have here at home. So that's a good thing. And hopefully those distractions they have at home will go away as well, because you got to stay focused. So if they can indeed take that bye week and they chose not to, then you're right, Greg. The NFL cannot be blamed for that because that's a choice. And they rolled the dice and it ended up working out for the Jaguars in this case because they went 5-0. Going to Arizona at Cleveland. Arizona's going to start Clayton Tune, who I covered in my coverage of Houston. Kyler Murray, he's expected to return next week. I feel like Arizona, it looks like they're tanking. I mean, it doesn't look, it's not a good look. They're 1-7. And I don't know. I mean, you're trading away your starting quarterback with your actual starting quarterback being out. So you're trading your backup, who has been serviceable, to play your third string guy, not knowing when Kyler Murray's coming in or if you're keeping him for the future. Sounds like a tank job to me, the way that it looks. There's nobody I would play on this team. I'd just probably leave all the Cardinals off. Deshaun Watson, and I don't, and this, again, this is my opinion, but I mean, Arizona doesn't look like they're trying to win. I'm not saying, to go back to a point by Dukes and I don't think the guys aren't coming and preparing themselves and don't want to win. I'm saying, as an organization, why would you get rid of your starting quarterback with your QB1 out and been out half the season? Why would you trade away a guy who's been serviceable and has done some good things? That's confusing to me. So I don't understand why Arizona's doing that unless they want the number 1 pick. So I don't want to believe that a team would tank, but I also don't understand why a team would say in any way, shape, or form they're trying to win when their number 1's down and then they let their number 2 quarterback go. And if I was on the team, and I wouldn't feel good about any of that news at all. So Arizona, I know you guys are trying to win games, and I know you're fighting. And I know that, the players on that team, obviously you want to win. I don't know what taking away the leader of your offense does for you to help you win now, which is why, as an organization, I have them on watch of, do you really just want the number 1 pick? Yeah, I never want to say that, and I don't know for sure, and I never want to say a team is tanking because, I don't want to insinuate that. It doesn't look right to me, is what I'll say. Maybe that's a better way to put it. The Cleveland Browns, Deshaun Watson, shoulder injuries left him questionable. My guy P.J. Walker from Temple could be starting for this game. Up against the Arizona Cardinals, Jerome Ford, I have him as a running back 3. I have Kareem as a running back 4, Kareem Hunt. Amari Cooper, here's the thing. Depending on who plays for Cleveland, again, every quarterback has their guy. I say it like a broken record, but it's because it's true. And I tell you it because it's true. So Ford had 9 carries recently, Pierre Strong Jr. had 10. Kareem Hunt had 14. So, and then PJ was 15 of 31, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Cooper still got the lion's share, though, 11 targets, 6 catches, 89 yards. He led in all 3 categories that I just mentioned. David Njoku's getting more pub with PJ Walker out there as well. So I would say Njoku, I would have him as a tight end up against Arizona. I put Njoku as a tight end 1 this week. I put Cooper as a low-end wide receiver 1, high-end 2. Kareem Hunt, Jerome Ford, I'd flex those guys out. I hope you don't have them as your 1 or 2 running back just because of the fact that, I want to say that Jerome's going to have the lion's share, but then Kareem had the majority of them recently, and Pierre Strong's involved, so there's more question marks out there than answers for the Cleveland Browns, and I don't want to put you in a bind there. The Rams at the Green Bay Packers. Let's take a look at the Rams here. The Los Angeles Rams, who let go of Van Jefferson. Matt Stafford is questionable with a thumb injury. Stetson Bennett, he has an illness, and so he is potentially out. Brett Ripien could be playing. So Darrell Henderson Jr., how about this? Darrell Henderson Jr. returns to the practice squad, was on the team, came from Memphis. I highly touted him coming out of Memphis. He was supposed to be the number 1 guy with the Rams after Gurley. Then he wasn't. Them Cam Akers was. Then it was like one of them. Nobody really took the job. Then they let Darrell Henderson go. Now they brought him back after letting Cam Akers go to the Minnesota Vikings. So a lot of question marks here. They're playing, Los Angeles, though, is playing Green Bay, and they're playing them on the road. I don't feel great about the running back situation. I try to leave these guys off of your team if you can. Royce Freeman, Myles Gaskin, coming from all other teams. Cooper Kupp, I would say, I got him as, if Stafford plays, he's a 1. If Stafford doesn't play, him as a 2. Puka Nacua has a knee injury, so just watch that. I have him as a 2 if Stafford plays, him as a 3 if he doesn't. So watch and monitor Stafford. On the other side, Jordan Love, I told fans, listen, in Green Bay, you're going to have to be patient. You've been to Super Bowls under Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. You've won them under Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. You've been spoiled for over a decade. And now Jordan Love is a different quarterback. It's going to take time. So I think in this matchup, Aaron Jones, I give him an RB2. A.J. Dillon, I give him an RB3 designation. Christian Watson, I would say, is a wide receiver 2. I'm not sold on the rest of the wide receivers in Green Bay. To take a quick look at, and Green Bay, by the way, is on a 4-game losing streak, and they've lost 5 of their last 6 games. They're 2-5 overall. So looking at Jordan Love, not great numbers, 24, 41, 229, 1 touchdown, 1 pick against the Vikings in a 24-10 loss at home. Aaron Jones had 29 yards on 7 carries. Dillon had 11 on 6. Jordan Love led the way, 4 carries for 34 yards. Jaden Reed, 4 catches on 6 targets. A.J. Dillon had 5 catches out of the backfield. Then Watson had 3. Aaron Jones had 4, and Romeo Doubs had 4. Luke Musgrave had 2 catches. So I would say for Green Bay's value, it would be in the running backs, Jones and Dillon, but I don't have either one of them as a 1. And Watson, potentially for you as a 2, and Jaden Reed, maybe you can get him on a waiver wire or in free agency. Maybe it's worth going out and getting Jaden Reed and putting him on your team as a flex guy for this week, especially if you have some players off just because he's been utilized recently here. From here, we're going to go to Washington at New England. New England is the worst team in the AFC. There is nobody with a worse record. They are 16 of 16 in the AFC. Who would have thunk the Patriots would ever be here, even without Tom Brady, when you still have Bill Belichick? But this is where they are. The Washington Commanders have had some good games, but they haven't closed them out. They're 3-5 overall. Brian Robinson Jr., playing against New England, I would put Brian Robinson as a running back 2. Antonio Gibson, because of PPR, maybe catching some passes, especially against New England. I would put Antonio Gibson as a running back 3. Terry McLaurin, I have him as a low-end 1, high-end 2, just because he performs. Jahan Dotson, I have him as a low-end 2, high-end 3, because of the matchup this week. Could be actually a 2. And then on the other side of it, I don't trust any of these guys on the Patriots. I don't. Not even a little bit. So, I mean, looking at their loss at the Dolphins, 31-17, by the numbers, I mean, Kedrick Bourne had 3 passes that he caught. Hunter Henry had 3 that he caught. Demario Douglas caught 5. Gesicki and Ramondre Stevenson caught 2 apiece. So, nothing great here. I mean, if Hunter Henry's a tight end, too, in my opinion, I think the value's in Washington. We're going to do one more game before we take our first fast break inside of this Fantasy Football in Focus NFL Week 9 for the 2023-24 season, proudly presented by the fantastic people of the Wildcat Sports Pub, led by Danny Tome, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Get yourself out to the Wildcat today and enjoy the Wildcat Sports Pub and all that they have to offer. 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. And for takeout and delivery, call 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat Sports Pub. Next game we're going to do here before we take a step aside, Chicago at New Orleans. So let's take a look at the Chicago Bears that I was talking about in hour number 1 with big-time Bears fan and head coach of the men's and women's tennis teams at Lemoyne, Mr. Jeff Lonzak. So let's take a look at the Bears at the Saints. Looks like Tyson Badgett is going to be playing again in Week 9, coming from Shepherd College in Division II. Rashawn Johnson, Dante Foreman. I mean, the Chicago Bears right now, outside of Carolina and Arizona, they're not great. They got 2 wins this season. They're 2-6. I mean, Dante Foreman had 9 carries. Rashawn had 4. Darrington Evans had 4. Rashawn had 6, pardon me. Darrington had 4. Badgett had 4. Mooney had a keeper for 1. Trent Taylor had 1. And Trent Taylor I covered in college too, right? Yeah. Oh, Louisiana Tech. I'm sorry, I got him confused with somebody else. So Cole Kmet, I mean, he had 10 targets, 10 catches from Badgett. Again, running the ball and going to your tight end. So in this matchup, I would say DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney. DJ had 6 targets, caught 4. Mooney had 4 targets, caught 1, and ran the ball that one time. I would say Cole Kmet's a tight end 1. That's really all I would play from Chicago. On the other side of it, Kamara, I would definitely play Kamara, Chris Olave, Michael Thomas. I'd go after them all. I would play them all in this matchup just because it's Chicago and you're playing at home. And the Saints definitely have, I mean, they're 4-4. They're right there with the Atlanta Falcons for the division. They won on the road 38-27 over the Colts, who have given teams some fits and some fights. They just haven't closed the games out. Kamara scored on the ground. Taysom Hill scored twice. Rashid Shaheed had 3 catches on 3 targets for 153 yards and a touchdown. Michael Thomas had 4 catches. Kamara had 4 catches, one of them being a touchdown. Olave had 5 catches. So, especially in PPR, you got to look at this. So, Taysom Hill is the true flex guy. I would say he's a flex 1. And then Kamara, Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, Rashid Shaheed, if you can find him on the waiver wire or free agency, if nobody's snatched him up, I'd take him and put him out there this week as a wide receiver 3 probably. And, Taysom Hill, like I said, I think all the values with the Saints. So, with that being stated, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Fantasy Football in Focus, talking to the entire world about fantasy football coverage. If you have a question in fantasy football, send it our way on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. NFL Week 9, 2023-24 season. We'll be back right after this fast break on Wake Up Call.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks available to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave. They are the premier sports card shop right here in central and upstate New York. Find your way to GG Cards and Breaks. If you're coming from out of town, they are minutes from the airport as well as the thruway, the highway. They are so close to so many different pieces of our wonderful community, and they are a fantastic piece of our wonderful community. They have singles as well as graded cards. You can send in your cards to be graded through GG Cards and Breaks. They also have packs and boxes, and they're the only place I know that has every NFL, every MLB, and every NBA team there for you. No matter who you're a fan of, I can get my Diamondbacks, Jaguars, and Raptors cards all in one place. They have an attention to detail unlike any other. They care about it, and they're big kids that love the sports card hobby themselves. You can get hockey cards, soccer, baseball, basketball, football, AEW, as well as Pokemon, the new Disney Lorcana, and more at GG Cards and Breaks. Plus, you can get all of the supplies that you need to keep your cards safe on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Make sure you head over to GG Cards and Breaks today. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. And they are open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So, with that being said, let's get back into fantasy football. By the way, my fantasy football fans, you have your favorite teams, you have your favorite players, you have your fantasy players, and you can go and get them at GG Cards and Breaks. So make sure you go out there today and see if they have the autographs and the patch cards and the rookie patch autos and the graded cards of the people that you're looking for. You might not be a Bears fan, but you might be a huge Cole Kmet fan because he just saved your season. So you're looking for a Cole Kmet card. Or you might be somebody who isn't a Diamondback fan, but you love watching Corbin Carroll. So you want a Corbin Carroll rookie card. Or basketball season just started and you're a big Kevin Durant fan. You want to see what they have. Go to GG Cards and Breaks. And if they don't have it in the case, there's a chance you could find one in a pack or a box by trying your luck today at GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Bonding the hobby to the teams, players, and sports that we love to watch. They bring it all home, right? What's cooler than getting to watch somebody that you love that's helping out your fantasy team, or they're on your team and they're your favorite player. You have their jersey and then you can go and get their card and you can bring it home. I mean, I have stuff that's right off camera here. I have a Pat Corbin, right? And why do I have this Pat Corbin? Because he played in my community in Central New York. He played for CNS, and then he went on to play for my Diamondbacks, and I got to go and get and I got to go, find his car, which is awesome. And so, these are the cards, just to show you a few here when we talk about them having their boxes. I went through Arizona Diamondbacks box, I got a Corbin Carroll rookie card. I got a Geraldo Perdomo rookie card. I got a Randy Johnson in the red jersey. I got a Ketel Marte chrome refractor. You know, I'm looking at this stuff that I was able to just pull by going in there. I got an Anthony Banda rookie card. And then I got a Ketel Marte, Allen and Ginter. So why not go to GG Cards and Breaks and see what you can find today? And to take that home and to have it with you, it just makes it cool, right? It's just, it does something to it. It brings everything even more to life when you're watching these players play. You know, it does something to you. And the sports card hobby is so cool because if you're a sports fan and you don't collect cards, it's so easy to get into it, even if you've never done it. And GG Cards and Breaks is the perfect place to start your sports card hobby or to continue it because they're just awesome people and they truly care. And I always want to help out the good guy and the good girl. So big shout out to GG Cards and Breaks. Thank you for all that you do. With that being said, let's jump into our next game here. We have Seattle at Baltimore. This is a big-time game. This is definitely a big-time game for both teams. Seattle, coming into this, they're leading the division after the 3-game losing streak by the San Francisco 49ers. Seattle's 5-2. The Baltimore Ravens are 6-2. So this game is huge for both on opposite sides. Seattle in the NFC and Baltimore in the AFC. Taking a look at Seattle first. Geno Smith, probably leave him off the list this week. Kenneth, especially being on the road. Kenneth Walker III, I like him as a running back too. DK and Tyler Lockett. I mean, those guys, I would say DK as a 1, Tyler as a 2, but they're both worth the play. When they're healthy, they're worth the play. When they're not 100%, they're still worth the play. I like Lamar Jackson in this game. Not as much because he's playing Seattle, but I am as a low-end 1, high-end quarterback 2. And Zay Flowers, I got him as a true flex, wide receiver 3 or 4 for you. Mark Andrews as a tight end 1. And, I mean, that's how I see this all shaken out here for both of these teams. I think there's a lot of fantasy value, a lot of big things that can happen here. For Baltimore, Gus Edwards, again, I sound like a broken record, but I say it every year. Guys get injured. Gus Edwards isn't the number 1 guy, but they keep him in Baltimore, and then he eventually has to play, and then he goes out there and he kills it because Lamar trusts in him. 19 carries, 80 yards. He had more carries than everybody else combined. Rashad Bateman had 1. Lamar had 5 keepers. Justice Hall had 4. Add those together, that's 10 carries. Gus had 19 for 80 yards, 3 touchdowns. If you add up the other 3 together cumulatively, they combine to have 50 yards rushing among 3 players and no touchdowns. Gus Edwards, he caught 2 passes out of the backfield. So I think Gus is another guy to play in this game too. And you might find him on the waiver wire. You might find him in free agency. I think Gus is a running back. I'd put him as a 3 this week because they're playing Seattle. So I'd say 3. Maybe a low end 2. But I'll put him in 3. I'd say that. So a lot of value here on both sides, in my opinion. I do want to take a quick look at Seattle and Geno Smith, because Geno had 2 touchdowns, 2 picks against Cleveland. They won at home by 4. 254, 23 of 37. Yeah, I'd probably leave him off for this week. Lockett got targeted 9 times, caught 8. DK got targeted 14 times, caught 5. So just watch those. Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's getting involved as a rookie too, which is great. I hope he continues to get involved. I have a lot of his cards. So I for some reason, Jackson Smith and Jigba, I've been like a magnet to his rookie cards. So, you know, I mean, obviously, I'm kidding. All jokes aside. I mean, if he does well and the cards go up, great. But, you know, I just hope he has a good career because I'm here to support everybody chasing their dreams, and I hope he does well. I hope he's having fun out there. He's definitely learning from some good wide receivers. Tampa Bay at Houston. Take a look at Tampa Bay right now. First, we always go to the road team first. Tampa Bay at Houston. Baker is out. He's not out yet. He's questionable with a knee injury. John Walford is staying in Tampa Bay. I covered him when he was at Wake. we could see Kyle Trask. I keep wanting to see Kyle Trask, not because I want somebody to get injured. I just want to see Kyle Trask because I think there's a chance he could be the leader of Tampa's future. I just see that he potentially could be. Now, most recently, they went on the road to the Bills, lost 24-18, and Baker was in that game. I want to see Kyle Trask start this game. Not because I don't want to see Baker, but because I think Kyle Trask could be an asset to this team. So maybe he starts in this one. I don't have him going out there, though, as the guy. Rachaad White, yeah, I mean, I would say put him out there because he's involved so much in the passing game. Most recent game against the Bills, 7 targets, 7 catches, 70 yards. Then the leading rusher, 9 carries for 39 yards. So he got you 109 yards and 7 catches. So, yeah, I mean, I would put Rachaad White out there in this game. Probably have him as a running back 2. Low end 1, high end 2. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, both worth the play. Whoever the quarterback is, I'll put them as wide receiver 2s in this matchup. And then on the other side of it, Dameon Pierce and the crew have been somewhat of a question mark this season. Most recently, they lost to the Panthers. The Texans are just really hard to figure out. The loss to the Panthers are 3-4. It's the Panthers' only win of the season. They won that one at home 15-13. I mean, Pierce had 12 carries. Singletary had 10. Tank Dell, who's a receiver, had 3. Mike Boone had 1. The fullback, Andrew Beck, had 2. Noah Brown, 5 targets, 3 catches. Nico Collins, 6 targets, 4 catches. Tank Dell, 4 catches, or 4 targets, 3 catches. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to say who you should play out here. Dameon Pierce, I have him as a running back 4 this week. And Nico Collins, I have him as a wide receiver. I mean, I guess him and Tank Dell I have as 3s at this point. I know that they got to throw to somebody, and C.J. Stroud hasn't been doing a bad job, and he's a rookie, but he's been doing better than all the other rookie quarterbacks. Well, Will Levis had a better week, obviously last week, a better debut, but C.J. Stroud's been doing pretty all right, you know? Not terrible. So, I mean, he's had a pretty good season. So I think Nico and Noah, probably 3s. C.J. Stroud, not a terrible week to play him, but hopefully you have somebody else. I still have him as a quarterback too, in my opinion. Next game up here, Indy at Carolina. Can Carolina get another win against the AFC South as they've continued to play? They continue to play the AFC South this season. Carolina just beating the Houston Texans. They will play the Colts this week. They will play the Titans on November 26th. And they will play the Jaguars on December 31st. Both of those games are going to be on the road. So, in this matchup, in my opinion, for Carolina, who's playing this one at home, they get 2 at home, 2 on the road against the AFC South. Looking at Indy first because they're the road team. Like I said, Indy's been giving teams a whole lot of pressure. Not necessarily winning, but they're in a lot of games more than I think people thought that they would be in any game this season, especially with Anthony Richardson down. Jonathan Taylor's still on the team after the trade deadline. Seems like more smoke and mirrors. So, or they're just not, people aren't giving him what he wants. In this game, I would play Jonathan Taylor. I got him as a running back 2. I got Zach Moss as a 3. Michael Pittman, I got him as a 1 at wide receiver this week. On the other side for Carolina, I guess Adam Thielen, if you want to flex him out, he's not a bad wide receiver 3 or 4. You know, someone's got to catch the ball in Carolina, and Thielen wasn't given the respect he deserved in Minnesota, and I don't think he's getting it now, and he continues to perform. 72 yards, 11 targets, 8 catches most recently. So Jonathan Mingo's getting involved too, so just monitor that. You know, he's a deep flex. I'd have him as a wide receiver 4 for Mingo, but I think Thielen safely could be a wide receiver 3 for you. He might still be out there in some of your leagues, as crazy as that sounds. The Giants at the Raiders. The Giants will be the first team to face the Raiders without their head coach and GM because they were both fired yesterday. And God bless them and hope for them to land on their feet and find the right job as they move forward here, because you never like to see anybody get fired. I'm not somebody who wishes bad on people, so I never want to see anybody get fired. The Giants, Tommy DeVito could be their starting quarterback. So, I mean, Tyrod's injured. Daniel Jones has a neck injury. Tyrod has a rib injury. So DeVito, the former Syracuse quarterback who made the team as an undrafted rookie, could start this week. I like Saquon in this game. Seems like they're going to be running the ball, so I would go with Saquon. I'd have him as a running back 1. On the other side of it, Aiden O'Connell, the guy that I told you would play in the NFL. He is now starting for the Raiders. Above Jimmy Garoppolo, who they went and spent money on in the offseason. I think this is the battle of running backs. I'm going to say play Saquon, play Josh Jacobs. I would put Devontae Adams out there as a low end 2, high end 3 wide receiver. Michael Mayer's getting some pub, so if you got a tight end off this week, this could be a week to play the low end 1, high end 2. And Jacoby Myers could be a possession guy for you, so that's another guy to look at. Sometimes change is good. Depends on how you handle it. So looking at that for the Raiders. The next game that I have up here for us before we take our final step aside, Dallas at Philly. Let's get into that one. Dallas at Philadelphia. This is a big-time game. If the playoffs started today, the Cowboys would be in it. And if they started today, Philadelphia would be the number 1 team in the NFC. So Dallas has been an enigma. Philly hasn't been. So the only game that they lost to the Jets. But the Jets, that defense is crazy. They talk about defense winning championships. Well, this defense is keeping them in their season that a lot of people wrote off already. So shout out to everybody on the defense and everybody on special teams and offense working together for the Jets to not give up on the season. Can't give up. Dak Prescott loses to the Cardinals, yet he scores 4 touchdowns against the Rams. 43 points. It was 30 to 9, I think, at halftime. Crazy. Absolutely crazy in this game. It was 33 to 9 at halftime. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. So, do you play Dak in this game? Well, he's playing the Eagles. He's playing the Eagles defense. So, I got Dak as a low-end 1, high-end 2 at quarterback. If you got somebody off, you could play him. Tony Pollard, I mean, it hasn't been great for any of the running backs in Dallas. I'd probably leave them off this week. CeeDee Lamb, I have him as a wide receiver 3 this week because of who they're playing. Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts, QB1. DeAndre Swift, I got him as a running back 1. And maybe a low-end 1, high-end 2. But probably mid-range 1. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, play them all. The fantasy value is with Philly. I got Philly winning this game. But we'll see, because the Cowboys do crazy things, so we'll see what happens. We'll get into the rematch of last year's playoffs that didn't end well for the Buffalo Bills with Buffalo and Cincinnati, but it's flipped. They'll be playing in Cincinnati. That's coming up after this final fast break on Wake Up Call right after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond. You can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. Hope you're having yourselves a fantastic week this week, and hopefully things continue to go well for you. if you've had a tough week, I hope it only gets better from here. We had a question that came in during the break. I want to thank Josh for sending in the question here to us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Would you trade Russ, Durham Smythe, and James Conner for Lamar Jackson and Gerald Everett? 20-man PPR. Roster is Russ, Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones, Tyreek Hill, Christian Kirk, George Kittle, and Jacoby Myers. Would I trade Russell Wilson and James Conner for Lamar Jackson and Yeah. Because James Conner's been hurt. Durham Smythe, no. Russell Wilson, no thank you. So yeah, do it. Make the trade, Josh. I like it. Who's giving up Lamar Jackson right now? What crazy person is doing that? But yeah, hopefully they're not listening. Make the trade. Do it now, Josh, before they change their mind. So make it happen. Thank you for the question. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And for all of you to subscribe to us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So if you haven't connected with us on these channels, make sure you do that. And, of course, you can follow us and subscribe to us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So make sure you do that today, and we appreciate everybody that already has. Many thanks to each and every single one of you that we're able to connect with around the country and the world. So with that being said, let's get into our final two games, Sunday and Monday Night Football. Buffalo at Cincinnati. Let's do that one here. Buffalo at Cincinnati, folks. A rematch of the game that sent the Bills out of the playoffs last year, unfortunately, for many a Bills fan that I know. And so they're hoping that they could get on the right side of things this time around. And the Cincinnati Bengals look like Joe Burrow's getting healthier and healthier. And that's dangerous. They're 4-3 right now. The Bills are 5-3. If the Bills lose this game, they'll be 5-4. And the Bengals will be 5-3, and the Bengals will jump them in the situational places of the postseason as things come down the stretch. So Josh Allen, he struggled against Cincinnati. Hard to keep him off the field, though. I'm going to say he's a QB1 this week. It's hard to say that he's not a QB1 from week to week. James Cook, I would say, is a running back 2. This week, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, I'd put them both out there. Dalton Kincaid, now that we know, now with Dawson Knox unfortunately out, and God willing he'll come back soon, Kincaid is a tight end 1, and so I got him going out there in this one. Joe Burrow and Joe Mixon on the other side, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, I got them all going out as well. So a lot of fantasy value. Hopefully this is not another Sunday night football game that's a snoozer until the third quarter with low scoring. I would imagine with all this fantasy value that both teams will score quickly, and give us our first high-scoring Sunday night football game, from the jump that we've had all season, because it's been kind of quiet for Sunday night football. So I like a lot of players in this matchup, and I look forward to seeing them all perform. And this game, in my opinion, is going to go to the 30s, and we'll see who can stick it out and win this game once we get into the 30s. Final game that we're going to talk about here, the Chargers at the Jets. This schedule was made with Aaron Rodgers in mind, and the Jets continue to have prime time opportunities. But listen, the Jets haven't been a bad team without Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron stayed close, and I like his commitment to the team. It says a lot to me about the human being that he is to this Jets team. So I appreciate it. Justin Herbert's going up against one of the toughest defenses in the country. So I have him as, it's hard to keep him off as a 1, but I still got him as a QB1, but just remember the defense he's playing. Austin Eckler's back out there. Keenan Allen, I would put them all out on the field. Josh Palmer as a little sneaky snake, or Quentin Johnson, who's probably on your waiver wire or free agency. I got those guys as flex guys. Palmer and Johnston, the rookie out of TCU. On the other side, Breece Hall, I got him as a running back 2. Garrett Wilson, worth the play. And Uzomah and Conklin, there's a danger here because you don't know who's going to get the ball. I think Zach's going to throw to whoever is going to run the plays and get open. Dalvin Cook's still on the team, by the way. But I think Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson are your best bets, and the Jets' defense and special teams definitely from week to week. So, with that being said, Denver, Detroit, San Fran, and Jacksonville are off. Do not play any of those players or defenses and special teams or kickers or quarterbacks unless you just don't want to win your week. So, that's been your fantasy football advice. Watch this video, and if you have a question, make sure you send it to this video directly so I can answer it. So, if you're watching this on playback, shoot us a question on this video. I'll be happy to help you. With that being said, thank you for tuning in on Facebook.com, YouTube.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, as well as on Podbean on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Once we go live, jump to the archives, Amazon Music, Audible, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Podchaser.com, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, to find us on your favorite podcasting platforms. Thanks to our incredible team of awesome families who are a part of our Wake Up Call family here that we love so very much, and that being Carvel DeWitt, our longest-standing partner, as well as Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory in their 5th year with us, I believe. The Wildcat Sports Pub in year 8. Carvel in year 11. GG Cards and Breaks, who started with us this year. Chick-fil-A Cicero since they opened. For the most part, Chick-fil-A Clay since they've opened, as well as Great Lakes Honda City for a decade. 317 at Montgomery Street in their first year. Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding. I don't even know what year it is for this one. I think it's 6 at least, if not 7. Avicoli's, who's in year 3 with us, if not 4. PB&J's Lunchbox, who's in year 3, so Avicoli's must be year 4. I think PB&J's is year 3 for us. Pizza Man, who is going into year 3, or in year 3, I think. Mother's Cupboard, Pizza Man's got to be in year 4. Mother's Cupboard, who's in year 3. So thank you to all of our tremendous partners who have believed in us over the years. And of course, we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call. Find your Dolphins with us during Dolphin time. Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern time, you get our AD and DT specials with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, a.k.a. DT. The Dolphin Dive, diving into stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. You could find all of those stories by subscribing to our YouTube channel on youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT. And, of course, on that tab, you will find your Dolphins as well by searching the Lemoyne Dolphins playlist on our YouTube channel. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com. As always, Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse just had a bunch of specials air on our exclusive channels. You could find your Bobcats by hanging out with us on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT. The Bobcat Buzz coming to you every single month throughout the year, telling the stories of student athletes, coaches, and administration, teams that vie for national championships and have won national championships, including inaugural teams coming into their own, and so much more. The Bobcats are unique stories to tell, and I love telling them exclusively here, where sports meets life, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Subscribe to youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT and check out our BSC Syracuse playlist for all of our Bobcat content on YouTube. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com, and as always, go Bobcats. The Alfred University Saxons are here with us during Saxon time. Mondays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, you'll find the Saxons. Under promise, over deliver. The Saxons at this point, I think we had scheduled maybe almost 20 videos. We've done over 40. So thank you to President Mark Zupan for all the time he spent with me in the presidential perspective, and all of the student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni that have joined me for their Saxon spotlights, respectively. Saxon's doing awesome. Men's and women's soccer, women's tennis, so many great things going on at Alfred University. You can find all of our content by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and going to the Alfred U. Saxons playlist. And for more information on all of their successes, go to gosaxons.com, and as the website tells you, go Saxons. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank Dukes Knutson for Blessings in Baseball. I want to thank my guy, Jeff Lonzak, for the Dolphin Dive today on the Lemoyne men's and women's tennis teams. Make sure you donate to their fundraiser. I want to thank the Wildcat Sports Pub for your constant fantasy football advice all throughout the year. For Mon Paz, for you, for me, for all of us, under God, one nation under God, one world under God. God bless you all. Have a fantastic day. Go Diamondbacks. Let's get this W. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. I'm an impartial broadcaster, so I have all the respect in the world for the Rangers and the Diamondbacks. And as a fan, I got to show my love. Go Diamondbacks, and respect to both teams for getting there. And I hope to talk with you all soon. God bless you all. Have a great day. God bless. No stress.